You're looking to cut through the noise and really understand something complex, especially when it involves the unsettling world of true crime.
We get it. Yeah, sifting through endless information can feel overwhelming.
Exactly. That's why we take these deep dives to bring you the crucial insights, help you grasp the core of a story without getting lost.
And today, we're plunging into a case that's as disturbing as it is perplexing. The 2008 murders of Penny Caffey and her young sons, Matthew and Tyler, in Rain County, Texas.
And what really elevates this tragedy, makes it even harder to comprehend, is the survival of Penny's husband, Terry.
Right. And the alleged involvement of their own teenage daughter, Erin. It takes it to another level.
Yeah, it's not just a crime story, it's really a look into the unimaginable.
Definitely.
So for this deep dive, we focused mainly on excerpts from interviews, really powerful firsthand accounts.
We've got Erin Caffey herself, her father, Terry, the investigators who had to wrestle with this horrific puzzle.
And others touched by the case, too.
Yeah, and these are raw emotional narratives. They give us a pretty unfiltered view, although, a complex one, into this tragedy.
So our mission here is to dissect the sequence of events, try to navigate these really conflicting perspectives on Erin's role.
And ultimately kind of understand the lasting repercussions of this crime.
As we explore these personal stories, you should be prepared for some really unsettling truths.
And those stark moments of clarity, the aha moments that reveal the intricate and often disturbing layers here.
Okay, let's begin right at the terrifying heart of this story, the night of the attack itself.
Terry Caffey's recollection is, well, it's chilling. He describes being asleep next to his wife, Penny, when their bedroom door just suddenly exploded inward.
Exploded. Wow.
He vividly remembers the crash, the door hitting the wall, and then almost instantly, just a rapid succession of gunshots.
Like bang, bang, bang.
Exactly. He said they were riddled by gunfire. And amidst all this terror, Terry actually heard his son Matthew's desperate cry. He even recognized the attacker's voice. Charlie Wilkinson pleading. Matthew pleaded, Charlie, why are you doing this? No, Charlie, no, please, why?
He heard his son say that.
Yeah. And then more shots. Terry knew Matthew had been hit.
Just devastating. And Terry himself was wounded.
Yeah, wounded himself, but his immediate instinct was get to the kids upstairs.
Right.
But the house was already engulfed in flames. He couldn't get up there.
So she was forced back.
Forced back into the bedroom. And that's when he found Penny.
And it was clear she was gone.
Tragically, yes. Not just the gunshot wounds, but also a brutal attack with what he identified as a samurai-type sword.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable.
Amidst this unimaginable horror, Terry's will to survive, his desire for justice, it just took over.
He had to stay alive.
His thought process was stark. If I die here, they might get away with it. I need to identify who did this.
And his immediate suspicion
Landed straight on Charlie Wilkinson, Erin's ex-boyfriend.
the one they'd made her break up with recently.
Exactly. He figured, maybe Charlie was seeking revenge. It made a horrible kind of sense to him.
And then, adding to the chaos, there's the 911 call.
Right from Tommy Gaston, a neighbor who found Terry wounded outside.
What did he report?
Gaston reported a man shot, the Caffey house just completely engulfed in flames.
And the true scope quickly became apparent.
Yeah. Penny, Matthew, and Tyler confirmed dead. Terry clinging to life. You can only imagine the shock in that community.
Just ripples of horror.
So, as the investigators start piecing things together, Terry, even from his hospital bed, identifies Charlie Wilkinson as one of the murderers.
That's huge. That led to arrests.
Crucial information. It led straight to the arrest of Charlie and two accomplices, Bobby Johnson and Charles Wade.
Okay, so they have the alleged attackers.
But here's where the narrative takes that truly unexpected, really disturbing turn.
Because Erin was missing.
Right. The bodies of Penny, Matthew, and Tyler were recovered from the burnt house. But Erin, their 16-year-old daughter, was nowhere to be found.
So initially, maybe hope. Did she escape?
That must have been the thought. A flicker of hope, perhaps. But then they searched Charlie Wilkinson's trailer and found something chilling. One of the investigators mentions finding a blonde wig. Seemed really out of place.
A wig.
Yeah. And when they moved it, they found Erin Caffey hidden underneath.
Alive.
Hidden under a wig. Wow. What did she say?
Her initial explanation was that she'd been drugged and then kidnapped from the house during the attack.
Drugged and kidnapped. Okay.
Now, try to picture Terry's reality. He's in the hospital, recovering from horrific injuries, grappling with this immense grief.
Losing his wife, his sons.
And then just 2 days later, the police have to deliver this almost unbearable news. His own daughter, Erin, was implicated.
How do you even process that?
It's almost impossible to comprehend. The interviews suggest they shielded him from the really graphic details at first, but just the implication.
That's been shattering. Absolutely shattering.
And this is where the case just splinters into these conflicting narratives.
Yeah.
It really challenges your understanding.
We have Erin's account, right? Given years later.
Yeah, and she's grappling with this disconnect. How could she, the person voted most likely to succeed, the best fun-loving person at camp, how could she be involved?
It seems incomprehensible, even to her.
Right. It shows the mind's capacity to, compartmentalize, create narratives to protect itself, even facing undeniable horror.
How did she try to explain it?
She talks about it coming down to choices. Poor choices made young. Little stuff that just accumulated and eventually blew up, as she put it.
Did she admit it to her dad initially?
No. When Terry first confronted her, asked if she was involved, she vehemently denied it. Flat-out denial.
But seeing him injured?
That seemed to be a turning point. Seeing his arm in a sling, the reality hit her. This wasn't some abstract game.
And what about the investigators? What was their take?
Well, the lead investigator's perspective is particularly unsettling. He called this the most disturbing thing he'd ever encountered.
Even compared to other major cases.
Yeah, even cases with more victims or, more obvious premeditation. His assessment of Erin was blunt.
What did he think?
He believed she was a highly effective liar, that she wasn't being entirely truthful even in that later interview.
So he thought she was significantly involved.
He felt the totality of the evidence pointed to a significant level of participation, yes.
And Erin's own account of the lead-up.
It's disturbing, too, isn't it?
Very. She claims Charlie started talking about killing her family, calling it foobar, like some kind of sick game.
And she just dismissed it.
She says she dismissed it, didn't take him seriously, even though she knew he had anger issues.
Her memory of the actual night is also problematic.
Deeply troubling, yeah. And it strains credulity. She admits being with Charlie and the others, going to a cemetery beforehand.
Okay.
And being present in the car outside the house while the murders were actually happening.
But she claims she didn't hear anything.
She claims she couldn't hear the gunshots from the car.
Right there. And maybe one of the most unsettling parts of her whole narrative is what happened immediately after.
What was that?
She went back with Charlie after the murders, and they had sex.
Wow. How did she explain that?
Her explanation is, well, it's disturbing. She uses this analogy like one lie just leads to another, and you get caught deeper and deeper.
And she also acknowledged something quite chilling about her own power in the situation.
She did. She acknowledged that her family would still be alive if she had truly wanted them to be.
That's a heavy admission.
Incredibly heavy.
Okay, let's bring Terry Caffey's perspective back in. How did his view evolve?
Well, initially his belief in Erin's innocence was, unwavering. He just couldn't reconcile the events with the daughter he knew.
Understandable.
But his perspective did shift over time. While he acknowledged her role, he came to see her differently.
How so?
He started referring to her as a contributor, but specifically not the mastermind.
So involved, but not the main driver.
That was his view. He really emphasized her vulnerability, being 16, and the powerful influence of Charlie Wilkinson, who he called a controlling psychopath.
So he saw her as influenced, maybe manipulated.
Very much so, in his later view. And Terry's journey is also about forgiveness, not just of others, but forgiving himself, too. That's often overlooked.
That's a crucial point. Self-forgiveness.
Absolutely.
We also have another perspective from Teresa Myers.
Yes, the mother of one of Charlie Wilkinson's friends. Her take was different again.
What did she believe?
She believed Charlie wasn't inherently evil, but that he was manipulated by Erin.
The reverse of Terry's view.
Exactly. She mentioned times Charlie genuinely believed Erin was in danger, based on things Erin told him about alleged abuse at home.
Suggesting Erin could manipulate people effectively.
That's what Teresa Myers implied, yeah. That Erin could spin stories to get people, maybe Charlie, to act.
And then there's the testimony from Michael Washburn.
Right. Erin's former boyfriend. This adds another layer.
What did he say?
He testified that Erin had actually told him she wanted to hire someone to kill her parents.
Hire someone? Why?
Because, according to him, they were trying to interfere with her relationships, break them up.
That suggests premeditation on Erin's part, a long time before Charlie, potentially.
It certainly points in that direction, a very significant piece of testimony.
So you really have this wide spectrum of perspectives, don't you?
Absolutely. Was Erin this cold, calculating mastermind?
Or was she a vulnerable teenager manipulated by a controlling boyfriend, as her father came to believe?
The truth, I suspect, lies somewhere in those complex shades of gray between the extremes. It's rarely black and white.
Definitely not in this case. Let's talk about the aftermath. The impact on the community must have been huge.
Profound and lasting. And for Terry, that initial period was just unimaginable grief, obviously, but also intense anger.
Understandably, did he ever consider?
Revenge, yes. He talks about it openly, recalls a moment during a pretrial hearing, seeing the perpetrators, and thinking how easily he could kill them right there. He even got a gun later.
But he didn't use it?
No. Ultimately, he found he couldn't carry it out. It shows that raw, human response to trauma, the urge for retribution, but also the difficult journey beyond it.
And his journey then took this extraordinary turn towards forgiveness.
Truly remarkable. He made the incredibly difficult decision to forgive Erin.
A process, he said, a real struggle.
Oh, absolutely. A profound struggle, but one he actively pursued. And eventually, he extended that forgiveness to the others involved.
And as you mentioned, himself.
And himself, recognizing that unwarranted burden of guilt he carried. It's powerful.
His decision to stay on the property, too, living in a camper on the burned-down land.
Yeah, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? About his connection to his lost family, needing to heal right there amidst the memories.
And he found things there, didn't he? Mementos.
A deeply emotional discovery in a shed that somehow survived the fire. He found letters, cherished items,
Like what?
including a letter from Penny, his wife, where she called him her hero.
Oh, wow. That must have just broken him.
He describes breaking down, grappling with the loss, the weight of responsibility he felt. He also found baggies with his kids' first haircuts.
Just tangible, heartbreaking reminders.
Exactly. Of the lives taken so violently.
What were the final legal outcomes?
Erin Caffey received a 42-year prison sentence for murder. She has to serve a minimum of 20 years before she's eligible for parole.
And the others? Charlie Wilkinson.
Charlie Wilkinson and Charles Wade are serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. Bobby Johnson got a 20-year sentence.
And Terry requested they not get the death penalty.
That's right. Even for the accomplices, he requested they be spared the death penalty. Another layer to his journey of forgiveness.
Has Erin had any contact with the others since?
She stated she's had no contact and doesn't anticipate any.
And Charlie, what about his feelings?
Interestingly, Charlie Wilkinson has reportedly said he believes he will always love her.
And Erin's response to that, does she still love him?
It's revealing. She talks about forgiveness for him, but denies any remaining romantic feelings. Says she feels bad for him, thinks about his family.
Did she express guilt about his situation, given her influence?
When asked, she admitted she'd never really considered it from that angle, but then did acknowledge that, yes, she could have stopped him.
Looking ahead, what does she plan for her release?
Her first priority, she says, is to visit her family's gravesite.
That will be intense.
Deeply emotional, she anticipates. Maybe a silent moment, but a crucial step, you imagine, in her own ongoing process.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into, a truly disturbing case, what are the key takeaways?
Well, I think this tragedy is just a stark reminder of how complex human motivation can be, how hard it is to ever fully understand someone's role, especially when it's someone so close, like a daughter.
The conflicting narratives around Erin really highlight that.
Exactly. They leave us with these enduring questions about her true culpability. Was she the mastermind? Was she severely manipulated? Or somewhere in between?
But maybe the most profound part of this whole story is Terry Caffey.
I agree. His resilience facing just unimaginable loss, his thoughts of revenge, and then that remarkable act of forgiveness towards Erin and the others.
It's an incredible testament to the human spirit, isn't it? Its strength and capacity.
Definitely. Which leads to a crucial question, maybe, for you, listener. How do we reconcile that image? The seemingly ordinary teenager with these horrific actions.
What does this case tell us about manipulation, about responsibility?
And about the limits, the limits we face in ever truly grasping someone else's motivations, even people we think we know best.
It really makes you think about the different perspectives we've discussed.
And the unsettling questions that just linger long after you hear the details.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We hope it gave you some insight. We invite you to keep exploring this complex case, maybe share your own reflections.